Hi folks, it's Richard from Inclusive Driving. As a driving instructor of cars, I'm expected to have a good knowledge of the highway code. I'm expected to have a good knowledge of driving the essential skills book and all things to do with driving cars. What do you think would happen if I took a mock lorry theory test? Do you think I'd pass? Let's find out. Hi folks, it's Richard from Inclusive Driving, and today I'm going to take a mock test intended for lorry drivers and see how I do. I've had no practice at this whatsoever. I've not done any reading for it. The test has 50 questions. We need to get 43 to pass. Let's see how we do. You're driving your lorry on the motorway. What should you do when visibility is reduced by heavy rain and spray? Options are maintain a constant speed, use main beam headlights, double your dry weather separation distance, or stay in the left lane. I'm thinking this is going to be the same as driving a car. You may not be able to drive at a constant speed. Speed is always increased and decreased according to risk. If you used main beam headlights, that would maybe dazzle other road users in front of you. Or even in a car, it can reflect the light back at you. That's probably not going to happen in a lorry because you're sitting high above the headlights. You wouldn't necessarily stay in the left-hand lane. You're still allowed to overtake. So I'm going to go for double your dry weather separation distance. What period of time does one tachograph chart cover? I don't know the answer. I know that there are restrictions on the number of hours that lorry drivers can drive during a 24-hour period. I think there's also restrictions on how many hours they can drive during a 7-day period. I would guess that the whole of that 7-day period is covered on one chart. I think nowadays it's all digital, recorded on smart cards anyway, but I think the tachograph chart is the round disc. I'm going to go for 7 days. You're at the scene of an incident. What does it mean if there's a plain orange rectangle displayed on one of the vehicles? Plain orange rectangle, that's going to be one of the hazard codes, orange signs with code numbers on to describe what dangerous goods are being carried. It's not that it's carrying a first aid kit or medical supplies, it's not that it's empty. That is definitely it's carrying dangerous goods. What should you do if you lose your way in heavy traffic? We've got stop at traffic lights and ask pedestrians. What's going to happen if that light goes green? You're going to be holding up other traffic. Shout to other drivers to ask them the way. Drive on until you find a safe place to stop. That seems sensible. Check a map as you keep moving. Definitely not. Using my car driving logic, that's going to be drive on until you find somewhere safe to stop. Why should your engine oil be changed at the recommended intervals? I don't think this is specific for lorry drivers. Nothing to do with clutch. It's not going to prevent oil leaks, I don't think. Nothing to do with steering. That is going to be to reduce friction and wear. When is a buffer lane most likely to be in use? I've not heard of this term. When it's windy, when it's raining, when it's foggy, when it's ice. When it's raining, you would increase your forward separation distance between you and the vehicle in front of you in the same lane. I'm going to think that when it's windy, let's say there's a lorry driving in lane 1 of a 3-lane motorway, maybe lane 2 gets closed and lane 3 is used so that lorries have got room to sort of blow sideways into lane 2. That seems the most logical to me. What does this temporary sign mean for drivers of vehicles over 7.5 tonnes maximum authorised mass? Use either the left hand or middle lane. Use only the left. Right. So any vehicle is allowed in the left lane. Anybody up to and including 7.5 tonnes can go in the middle. The right lane is closed, so nobody can go in there. So we can use the left or the middle lane. Okay. Why should you check for motorcyclists just before turning right into a side road? I think this is going to be the same as why you do it in a car. There might be motorcyclists overtaking on your right just as you're turning. That seems the most sensible one to me. You've been driving a lorry without a brake for 4.5 hours. Under EU rules, you must now take a break. How long must this break be? Again, I don't know the answer. 4.5 hours is a long time. So if you're a car driver, it's recommended that after 2 hours you take a break of about 20 minutes. So 4 hours, maybe a 40-minute break, 4.5 hours. Let's go for 45 minutes. I think the longer you've been driving, the longer the break you're going to need. You are approaching a bridge that has no height restriction on it. What's the minimum height under the bridge? I don't know this answer. Pure guess, I'm going for 4.8 metres, 16 feet. I think it would probably be a round number in old money, so when measured in feet. So I don't think it's going to be something and something inches. So let's go for 4.8 metres. That is a guess. You are a driver who's certified to carry dangerous goods. How long is your certificate valid? Okay, we have driver CPC, which I think is Certificate of Professional Competence. And that has to be renewed, I think, every 5 years. So I would imagine that certificate for carrying dangerous goods is going to be the same. Let's put 5. Which of the following is important when you're getting out of a lorry cab? Checking your load is secure, using the mirrors, turning off the radio, or disconnecting the airlines. Okay, well, I don't think you can check your load is secure before you've got out of the lorry cab, so it can't be that. Using the mirrors would seem sensible. You're going to be opening the door. Lorry doors are quite wide as well, I think, probably wider than car doors. Turning off the radio would let you hear all the traffic coming, I guess. And I don't think you can disconnect the airlines from inside the cab, so it's not that one. I think using the mirrors is the most sensible option there. What should you do if your tachograph chart becomes dirty or damaged? Continue with the same chart and enter the details in writing. I would guess if it's damaged, it wouldn't work in the tachograph reader. Use a spare chart and destroy the damaged one. I don't think you would destroy something that's already got information on it. Use a spare chart and attach it to the damaged one. That seems sensible. Use a new chart that will work in the reader but keep the existing information. Or continue to use the chart. No, it's got to be use a spare chart and attach it to the damaged one. What happens at Toucan crossings? Well, this isn't a lorry-specific question. This is a car question as well. Toucan is where cycles and pedestrians cross at the same time. So, bottom answer there. Where should you park your vehicle before checking the engine oil level? Again, I think this is going to be the same as a car. So you wouldn't do it on a hill, on sloping ground. You wouldn't do it on a steep gradient. You wouldn't do it on a downhill slope. It would be on flat ground. You're driving on a motorway. What does it mean when a lorry ahead of you switches on its hazard warning lights? Again, I think this is the same as cars. The only time you can use hazard warning lights while you are moving is if you are on a motorway or a national speed limit dual carriageway and the traffic in front of you is braking quite heavily. So it's nothing to do with speed cameras, nothing to do with lorries overtaking, nothing to do with leaving a motorway. It is that traffic further ahead may be stopping. You're driving a lorry weighing more than 7.5 tonnes on a dual carriageway in England. What does this sign mean? Well, that's the national speed limit sign. National speed limit on a dual carriageway for lorries is going to be 60 miles an hour. Same as if you've got your car licence and you are driving a van, you are also restricted to 60 miles an hour on a dual carriageway. I do know it's put the word England there for a reason, because national speed limit for lorries in Scotland is different, but I think that is only different on single carriageways. Don't quote me on that. I am not a lorry driver. What does this warning light on the instrument panel mean? That's the same as a car, so that means there is a fault with the braking system. Where does a high-pressure fuel injector deliver fuel? Into the carburetors? No, because a fuel injector is instead of a carburetor, I think. Into the combustion chamber, yes, that's where the petrol is going to be burnt to provide the energy to move the car. The manifold, I think, is part of the exhaust system, and the crankcase is where the engine actually turns and connects through the gearbox to the wheels. So that's going to be in the combustion chamber. When should your lorry coupling system, fifth wheel, be checked and lubricated? Again, I don't know the answer. Only prior to an MOT test? No, I doubt it. I think that's a wrong answer. Every 6 months, yearly or regularly. I'm going to rule out regularly because I think that's a bit vague. Does that mean every day, every week? Let's go with every 6 months. That is a guess. Why should you carry out a daily walk-around check before setting off? We've got to check your route. No, you wouldn't need to walk around the vehicle to do that. Check for any parking violations. No, check your schedule. It would be to check for any defects. That would be the same as doing a walk-around check of your car before driving off. Why do motorcyclists use dipped headlights in the daytime? To make themselves more easily seen. It wouldn't stop the battery overcharging. To improve their vision? No, it's daytime. And to scare wildlife off the road. I think motorcyclists will scare the pigeons away anyway. So that is to make themselves more easily seen. When should wheel nuts be checked? After driving down a steep hill, soon after initial tightening, just after driving on a motorway, or after unloading. Okay. I've seen lorries have yellow arrows sort of clipped onto the wheel nuts to show if they have moved. Wouldn't be anything to do with a particular driving style, and I don't think it would be after a steep hill. Soon after initial tightening? I don't think so, because I think it's something that would be done more than once. So I'm going to guess after unloading. Where are you most likely to find pedestrians stepping into the road? Motorways, well, pedestrians aren't allowed on there. One-way streets, wooded areas, or shopping areas, it's got to be. You're delivering boxes of chilled food to a supermarket. What specific training would you need? Hygiene procedures, ADR procedures. What's ADR? Waste handling procedures or fuel efficient driving procedures. Let's rule out fuel efficient driving procedures because you would want to do that anyway, irrespective of what cargo you are delivering. Waste handling, I don't think there's any waste involved in that delivery. I think if you're delivering chilled food, there's got to be some kind of continuity of the cold food chain to ensure that the temperature never goes above a certain level. So I'm thinking hygiene procedures is most sensible. What should you do if the load on your lorry becomes insecure? Continue at slower speeds to ensure the load doesn't fall off. Attach hazard boards to the load to warn other road users. Park and re-secure the load before continuing. Inform base at the early. It's got to be park and re-secure. You wouldn't continue driving just at a slower speed if you knew your load wasn't secure. You wouldn't simply warn people it was insecure. You would have to park and re-secure it. What would be illegal? Using different makes of tyre on the same axle, using a tyre with a recut thread. I don't think it's that. When I've pulled up alongside lorries at traffic lights, I've noticed on their tyres they have the word regroovable to say that they can have the treads recut. Using a tyre with a tread depth of 1.3 millimetres. I think the minimum tread depth for lorries is 1 millimetre. Using a tyre with exposed plight or cord. It's got to be that one, because that is just downright dangerous, and that would be the same for a car as well there. Why is it important to adjust your head restraint properly? This has got to be the same as a car question. That's going to be to protect you in a collision, to protect your neck in a collision. There we go. You will be driving your vehicle in Europe. Which of these documents must you carry? Vehicle service record, medical examination form, national driving licence, workshop manual. That's got to be your driving licence, surely. That seems the most logical one to me. In frosty weather, what precaution could a lorry driver take to prevent moisture from freezing in the air brake system? Drain the air tanks daily, cover the air tanks with a blanket, keep the engine at high revs when starting, or pump the brakes. I don't know. I'm going to rule out cover the air tanks with a blanket. That seems a bit of a daft one. I don't think you would drain the air tanks. That doesn't sound right to me. Keep the engine at high revs when starting. I know that the air tanks are recharged by the engine, so it makes sense that having higher revs might pump more air in. Would that keep moisture out? I don't know. Pump the brakes. Maybe that's going to purge any moisture from the system. That seems the most logical to me. Tankers carrying liquids can experience the wave effect. What helps to reduce this problem? Okay, so I think the wave effect is where when the lorry accelerates, any liquid in the tank kind of moves to the back, and when the lorry slows down, the liquid moves to the front. So I think baffle plates in that, they help kind of keep the liquid more in one place inside the tanker. What should the hard shoulder of a motorway be used for? This has got to be the same as a car question. You wouldn't answer a mobile phone there. As a place to stop when an emergency arises? Yes, I think so. You wouldn't stop there for a short rest, and you certainly wouldn't check a map there. So as a safe place to stop when an emergency arises. How wide does a load need to be before an attendant is required? I don't know the answer. I would guess it's when the lorry is wider than the lane on a motorway. How wide is the lane on a motorway though? So thinking about a car, mirror to mirror is maybe, it's probably less than 8 feet. Car takes up maybe a bit more than half the width of that lane. So how wide is a motorway lane? I'm going to guess 3.3 metres. It is a pure guess. Oh, similar question to one we had earlier. You're on a motorway. Your lorry has a maximum authorised mass of more than 7.5 tonnes. What does this sign mean to you? So we cannot go in lane 3. Any vehicle can go in the middle lane and the left lane. Again, anyone can go in there. So you mustn't use the right lane. You can only use the right lane. You can't leave the motorway, or you can use the middle or the right lane. No, you can't use the right lane because you are over 7.5 tonnes. but you can use the middle. So that's got to be the top answer. You mustn't use the right lane. You're driving a lorry with a sleeper cab. When would a quick sideways glance be useful? So I think the sleeper cab is going to be where there's a bed behind the driver's seat. So thinking about car driving, that's when we do sideways glances when we're changing lanes. It's nothing really to do with going around bends or hills. I can't see the relevance of a pedestrian crossing, or especially after a pedestrian crossing. So I think it's when traffic is merging from the right or left. That's like a lane change in car terms. What is the main reason for cleaning your wheels and tyres when you leave a building site? To keep the tyres in good condition, to prevent the tyres from damaging the road surface, possibly. If you've got stones, or I've even seen sometimes where you have two tyres mounted on the same side of the lorry. I've seen a brick get stuck in there before. I did keep my distance. To reduce air leakage from the tyre valves, I don't think that's relevant. To stop mud dropping onto the road. Oh, it's either option 2 or 4. Mud is going to be slippery. To prevent tyres from damaging the road surface. I'm going to go with the slippery option, I think. Your vehicle has broken down at night on a two-way road. How should you try to leave the vehicle? So you'd get out on the pavement side. Oh, I see. Right, I was reading how should you try to leave the vehicle as how would you get out of the vehicle. This is asking how would you park the vehicle. Okay. So at night you would want to park on your own side of the road, because you wouldn't park facing oncoming traffic. So that would be on the left. You wouldn't park on the pavement. Nobody parks on the pavement, or they shouldn't. You wouldn't park on a grass verge. You wouldn't park on the opposite side of the road. That's got to be on the left side of the road. What would help to reduce the impact that your lorry has on the environment? Driving through town centres, braking in good time, planning routes to avoid motorways, or racing to make up time. It's certainly not racing, because that suggests you're going to be driving faster and aggressively. Motorways are going to be more eco-friendly, I would suggest, because you're more able to travel at a constant speed. Town centres is more stop-start traffic. I think braking in good time is the most sensible option there. What shape are the labels that indicate a vehicle is carrying dangerous cargo? Diamond, triangle, circle, oval. Right, the pedantic side of me is saying it's none of those, because it's actually a square but tipped on its edge, or tipped on its point. A diamond is actually mathematically a different shape. Diamond is the most sensible answer there, though. You are at the scene of an incident. How can you help someone suffering from shock? Reassure them confidently. Yes. Offer them a cigarette. No. Move them. No. Give them a drink. No. Reassure them confidently. You're driving a load. You're driving a lorry carrying a load that's 4.5 metres wide. What's the maximum speed you are allowed to drive on a motorway? I don't know this. I can't believe that you would ever be driving a vehicle at just 10 or 20 miles an hour on a motorway. 30 also sounds a little bit dodgy. I think 40 is probably most sensible there. What would you secure with a dog clip? And dog is not an answer. Okay. The kingpin release handle, that's, I think, the lever that has to be pulled when you want to uncouple the tractor from the trailer. The airlines, when I've watched lorry drivers connecting the airlines, they kind of push fit and then sort of push flat towards the body of the cab. So I don't think it's that. I don't think there's a specific clip. The parking brake, no, I don't think so. The differential lock, don't think so. I think the diff lock is something to do with if the lorry breaks down and it has to be towed. I think the diff lock is uncoupled or something like that. I think the sensible answer there is the kingpin release handle, just a kind of second safety device to make sure that the tractor and the trailer remain connected. At the scene of an incident, an injured person is lying in a busy road. What's the first thing you should do to help? Treat the person for shock. Well, we wouldn't treat as such. Warn of the traffic. Place them in the recovery position. Make sure that they're kept warm. Okay, well, recovery position and keep them warm are maybe good ideas, but I think your priority would be to make sure no further incidents happen. So that would be warn of the traffic. You're driving a vehicle that's over 17 metres long. What should you do at a level crossing? I think this is going to be stop and phone the signal man. I didn't know it was specifically 17 metres, but I have seen signs at crossings that say long vehicles stop and use the phone to contact the operator. Crossover using your horn and hazard warning lights? No, because we don't use hazard warning lights when we're moving anyway. Would you increase your speed to get over quicker? No, I don't think so. Stop before the crossing and look both ways before going on? I don't think so, because by the time could you see from your cab? I guess you could. It's not a stop line there. I'm pretty sure that is stop before the crossing and use the phone to phone the operator. You hit the curb at speed. What part of your vehicle should you check for damage? That's going to be the tyres, surely. Exhaust, brakes, lights, definitely tyres. What should you do before driving your lorry away from a wet construction site at the side of a motorway? Turn on your amber beacon, drain the air tanks, hose down the wheels, set your tachograph to other work. Right, I don't think it's turn on your amber beacon, because when you are in the roadworks you have your amber beacon on, and when you're leaving it you are kind of doing normal driving, so you wouldn't have that beacon on then. You wouldn't drain the air tanks because that, I think, would stop your brakes from working. Hose down the wheels, that's similar to a previous question of not getting mud on the word. Or set your tachograph to other work. I don't really know the rules about tachographs. I'm torn between 3 and 4. No, if you are driving away from a construction site, you are doing normal driving, so it wouldn't be other work, it would be kind of driving. So hose down the wheel seems the best option there. Why are ropes unsuitable to tie down a load of scrap metal? Hard to tie, will loosen, hard to untie. Ropes can wear and snap. I think the scrap metal is likely to have jagged edges, which could tear through the ropes. That seems sensible to me. What colour is the auxiliary line on a 3-line braking system? I have no idea. Red, blue, green. Let's rule out red. I would guess that red is going to be the main braking system. So an auxiliary line, the backup system, if you like. Let's go with traffic lights. The next one down is going to be yellow. That's my guess. When are air deflectors most effective? Okay, so I think that's a kind of shield that you sometimes see on the cab of the lorry to send the air over the trailer. So I think that's when you're driving into a headwind. And finally, you're driving an articulated lorry. What could happen if you change to a lower gear while you're going too fast? The vehicle could jackknife, the engine could stall, the brakes could fail, the trailer could uncouple. So thinking about cars, if you are going fast and you shove it into first gear, the car will slow down very rapidly. It won't necessarily stall. Nothing to do with braking. The trailer could uncouple. No, I think it's jackknife. You're slowing down and the trailer could then push the cab sideways. I think the vehicle could jackknife. Right, end test. Ending the test will show your results. You will no longer be able to change your answers. Let's go for it. What have we got? I failed. You answered 42 out of 50 questions correctly. Let's have a look then where we went wrong. So we got one wrong here. Vehicle weights and dimensions. What does this temporary sign mean for drivers of vehicles? Let's have a look at that. So the correct use only the left. Oh, this was a classic case of Richard didn't read the question properly. This is drivers of vehicles over 7.5 tons. So yes, they are not allowed in that middle lane. Always read the question, folks. Next category, got one wrong with driver's hours and rest periods. What period of time does one tachograph chart cover? Okay, so it is 24 hours. Okay, I now know that. Braking systems, we got only 1 out of 3. Let's have a look at that. In frosty weather, what could we do to prevent moisture from freezing in the brake system? Drain the air tanks daily. Okay, I never knew that. And the next one, what colour is the line on a 3 auxiliary line on a 3-line braking system? It's blue. Okay. So we got those correct. Correct for the road incidents. We got one wrong. Okay, you're approaching a bridge that has no height restriction. What's the minimum height under the bridge? I guessed 16 feet. Okay, 16 feet, 6 inches or 5 metres. Fair enough. Vehicle condition. I got 2 wrong there. Let's have a look. When should your lorry coupling system be checked and lubricated? Regularly. Okay, I just thought that answer was a little bit too vague myself. Maintenance of the 5th wheel should be carried out regularly, ideally monthly or every 10,000 kilometres. So why didn't they give monthly as an option? That seems a bit of a badly written question, if you ask me. When should wheel nuts be checked? Soon after initial tightening. Okay, I am very surprised that is a kind of do it once and then don't bother again. Seems, but it is what it is. Okay, next category, 1 out of 1. Vehicle loading, we got one wrong. How wide does a load need to be before an attendant is required? Okay, 3.5 metres, now we know. And then correct. Okay, so we've learnt from that because I've learnt about how wide the load can be without an escort, and I've learnt about warning signs on bridges for the height. I need to do a little bit of reading then, don't I? Okay, I'll perhaps do another mock test in a couple of weeks after I've done some reading and see if I can improve my score. Well, that's all for now, and I'll see you on another video very soon.